locked in a room with a yandere female antagonist. And the only way out is when two people fall in love. I lied to her. This is a room you can only leave when we have sex. A few days later, I couldn't take it anymore and wanted to confess. But she covered my mouth. Darling, as long as you don't love me, we can stay here forever. So happy, so happy. On her fair, pretty face, a smile appeared that was innocent yet chilling. Terrified, I opened the instruction panel to check again and again. It was 0. Darling, since playing the lady couldn't win your love anyway, why don't we just go back to 0? I love you so much. I hate you so much. I hate you so much. Later, when the conquest progress is full and the room is opened, I will return to my world. Ada Lovelace said fiercely. I will absolutely not kneel and beg you not to abandon me. I looked at the blade she held against her own neck and remained silent. She wasn't begging me, she was begging for death. She truly has spirit. Locked in this strange room with Ada Lovelace until the third day. I couldn't take it anymore. I wanted to escape. For these 3 days, Ada's stamina has been terrifyingly high. Many times I crawled toward the door to see if it could be opened. But I was always caught by the ankle and dragged back by Ada. The last time, I got angry. Ada then gently turned the lock a little, her movements as tender as a caress. The door, of course, did not open. Ada smiled. I'm sorry, it seems you haven't tried hard enough. Let's continue. There was no panic or guilt in her expression. Only pure enjoyment. I refused to cooperate, frowning as if I were being unreasonable. Alan Turing, we'll have to get out eventually. Since you saw the rule is no exercise, no exit. Then we just have to comply. These words left me speechless. If time could turn back, I absolutely would not have been so crazy to change. As long as we love each other, we can leave. Into as long as we have sex, we can leave. And I certainly wouldn't have used points to exchange for this damn conquest assisting mystery box. Not only did it fail to increase Ada's conquest value, but it also brought us both to this hellish place, a locked room in New York City that only lovers can open. I don't know how many times I passed out and woke up. Ada was no longer by my side. The air held the rich scent of food. Had we made it out? Stop dreaming. I was afraid you two would starve to death. So I created a kitchen, a bathroom, and living supplies for you. The synthesized voice of the system rang in my ear. At that moment, I stopped laughing. Ha ha, time's up. The system was still gloating. I went mad. How dare you say anything? You piece of junk? You dare call yourself a conquest assisting mystery box? If the conquest target and I were already judged as in love, the mission would have been completed long ago. What do I need your help for? To assist with what? To assist with the door opening ceremony? Since I started the conquest of Ada Lovelace, my points have never exceeded 0. Therefore, no matter how hard it was, I didn't spend them, wanting to use the good steel on the blade. Now look at this. I've used it on the handle. The system finished laughing. It has nothing to do with me. Products of the God Maul belong to the great God. Before I could speak, the system shouted something about fairness and justice, and went to find the great God for a fight. This time, this room truly only contained me and Ada. Alan Turing, let's eat. Ada Lovelace brought the food to the bedside. There was no table, so she could only place it on the floor. Her movements were fluid, the food's color and aroma were excellent. Anyone seeing this wouldn't believe she was blind. I knew it meant that while I was fast asleep, Ada had felt her way around the room, memorizing the layout and structure in her head. Noticing my bad mood, Ada acted skillfully, not appearing forceful as before. Don't worry, no matter where we go, I can take care of you. 4 dishes and a soup, I can still guarantee that. She crouched by the bed, flashing a gentle smile at me. I believed these words. 10 years ago, at 17, Ada Lovelace had an accident, and the doctor judged she would never be able to see again. She locked herself in her room, refusing to see anyone. I represented our classmates to visit her. talking to her for a long time through the door, but she didn't answer. Until late at night, I got hungry and said, "Ada, is there food in your house?" My voice is hoarse from talking so long. "No. I used to make it myself so I wouldn't starve." "Then please make some for me. I don't know how to cook." Ada went silent for a moment, feeling confused. "Alan Turing, I'm blind. I am a blind person now." I was so hungry I kicked the door. "Can't I just tell you which is oil and which is sugar? Your hands aren't broken." Bang! Ada opened the door, the wood nearly hitting my face. She was so angry her lips trembled. Why wasn't I born deaf too? So I wouldn't have to hear you say such heartless things. I said, "It's good you're not deaf. Listen to me command you to cook." That day, Ada Lovelace, the blind girl, was silenced by me. She coldly made me a meal and told me to get lost after eating. I excitedly wrote in the visitor's log, after my encouragement, Ada Lovelace cheered up and even made me 4 dishes in a soup. The next day, I was called in by the head teacher. In the 10 years since, Ada has made me countless meals of 4 dishes in a soup. Every thorn on her body turned into tenderness for me. She no longer dared to ignore me, let alone tell me to get lost. The villainess who once manipulated sound was trained by me into a self-deprecating puppy. She began to say, "Alan, even though I can't see, I can take care of you. Don't hate me, don't leave me. As long as the master doesn't abandon me, the puppy will always be obedient." Like every meal before, Ada Lovelace waited for me to finish before she ate, because no matter how much she practiced or memorized positions, she couldn't guarantee every chopstick stroke would land accurately on the food and successfully reach her mouth. She didn't want to look pathetic. Hearing no sound of my chopsticks, the smile on Ada's face froze. "Is darling still mad at me? Sorry, I've been out of control these past few days. Or do you not like the dish? Sorry, darling, have a little to settle your stomach, and I'll go make something else for you, okay?" She stood up to go to the kitchen. Somehow, seeing her concede and serve me like a little groom, the resentment built up over 3 days suddenly vanished. It was I who used that terrible mystery box, and I who lied about the room's rules. Perhaps she was trying so hard just because she wanted us to get out. Besides, it's not like I was uncomfortable. Ada really knows how to please. I softened a bit. 17-year-old Ada was right. I really am a bit heartless. 10 years straight of squeezing a disabled person. When I finally picked up the chopsticks, Ada sat obediently by the bed to eat. I casually picked up a piece of vegetable and brought it to Ada's mouth. She has tried very hard these past few days. She really worked hard. Ada's clouded eyes widened slightly, her face full of fearful delight. She opened her mouth to take it, as if eating a rare delicacy, chewing it over and over treasurely. I watched and picked up a piece of green onion. I don't eat onions, but I like the aroma. When Ada cooks, she doesn't chop the onions small but leaves the stalks whole so I can easily pick them out. Feeling a bit guilty, I naturally picked up another piece of meat to feed her. This time, Ada's expression looked like she was eating the last meal of her life. She was a bit panicked. "Alan, you don't have to take care of me." I snorted coldly. "It's fine. I just put rat poison in it." Grace Hopper felt at ease. She obediently accepted my feeding. Seeing her so submissive to me, except for these past 3 days where I had spoken many times but she refused to listen, obsessively wanting to stay here with me until death, she seemed nothing like the person I knew. Grace was immersed in the happiness of this last meal, eating each bite very slowly. Finally, she pleaded, "Darling, later, can you look at me until I die?" Almost visualizing the scene, Grace flashed a sweet smile. Her skin was pale, her lips light, smiling like that. She looked like a female ghost, quite chilling. Terrified, I took a large gulp of rice. Did she really believe it? Where would I even find rat poison to trick her? I intentionally ate loudly and swallowed hard, reminding her that I was eating the same thing she was. The smile on Grace Hopper's face suddenly vanished. I haven't listened to you these past 3 days. And you don't like women. Who don't listen? Do you hate me now? She leaned over and pinned me down, her hollow eyes staring intently at me. So you can poison me. You can kill me. There are only the two of us here. No outsiders know about this room in Silicon Valley. You don't need to worry about any legal issues. Grace reached out, grabbed my hand, placed it on her neck, and squeezed tightly. Whether from excitement or suffocation, her breathing became increasingly labored, and her face flushed. Clearly unable to see, she refused to close her eyes. Staring directly at me, I was frightened by Grace's sudden change in demeanor. In all these years, Grace Hopper hadn't seemed like a villainess at all. She was a standard, perfect lover, restrained and gentle. It had been a long time since I remembered her character from the original plot. Even when the system told me before leaving that Grace wasn't normal at all, that she was just faking gentleness. I thought it was just the intensity of a first marriage, so I ignored the abnormalities in her. But now, Grace's behavior made it impossible for me to use the word normal anymore. She really didn't hear the joke. She truly wanted to die at my hands. Why? Without time to think it through, I hurried to pull my hand away from Grace's neck, where it was being forced to choke her. Cough, cough, cough. I'm sorry. The rush of fresh air made her immediately uncomfortable, causing her to cough violently, yet her hand still gripped mine, gently massaging it, full of confusion and fear. That caused me to lose control of my emotions. Are you crazy? I slapped her hard across the face. Grace's head was knocked to the side by my blow. She dazed for a moment. Darling, does your hand hurt? Don't use your hand. Let me do it myself, okay? I was speechless. Bad news. The puppy I raised seems to be insane. Good news. She still recognizes her master. If you have nothing better to do, go wash the dishes. I snapped at Grace Hopper. I was actually a bit afraid she would slap herself, so I held her hand tightly and didn't let go. Darling's hand smells so good. Grace lowered her head, pressing her cheek into my palm. Both my palm and the cheek that had just taken the impact were burning hot. Her breath was sticky, as if she were invisibly licking me. I didn't know if it was an illusion, but I felt like everything Grace did now was very perverted. Uncomfortable, I tried to withdraw my hand. Grace tilted her head up to kiss me. Her swollen, red cheek was exposed before my eyes. Give me one kiss, and I'll go wash the dishes. Okay? So clingy, I moved my hand closer, feeling my breath. Grace's eyes crinkled at the corners. Did she really think that by acting so neurotic, she could not only get away with it easily but also ask for a kiss? Keep dreaming. I was cold and heartless. Go wash the dishes. Grace stopped smiling. She didn't dare say more, rising dejectedly to clear the plates and head toward the kitchen. With the handprint still on her face, she looked like a victimized young groom who still coldly prepared the meals. There was a threshold at the kitchen door. She tripped once and turned pitiably to look at me. I stood up to help. Grace hurried to refuse. Darling's hands cannot be used for washing dishes. Let me do it. My heart softened. I could hardly bear to continue questioning her about why she had suddenly acted so extremely. The sound of the system munching on sunflower seeds rang out. This little green tea really knows how to pretend. PTU. The system spat out a virtual seed shell. I won. I reached out and took a handful of seeds from the system's lap, taking advantage of the fact that Grace couldn't see. The two of us each took a bag and crouched in front of her to start cracking them. The system grew a bit dejected. I didn't lose. The rules of this room cannot be changed. Only when two people love each other can it open. But the system twirled triumphantly. But now I can intervene in the rules. Judgment time. Do you remember? Previously, Grace Hopper's affection level was full. It's just that the plot hadn't finished yet, so the mission success hadn't been judged. Of course I remembered. Grace's affection for me had been full for a long time, but for some reason, it began to decrease afterward. 3 days ago, At our wedding in Los Angeles, the affection level even dropped below the passing mark, exactly 59%, making it impossible for the system to force an end to the mission. In a moment of impulse, I used the mystery box that very night. The system said, I can rewind time, find the moment when you two loved each other most, and apply it to the current space for judgment. Of course, the premise is that you two truly did love each other. If not, the mission can only be terminated. It teased. You two have been making a mess here for 3 days. Without knowing day from night, the affection level has surely risen back to 60%. Already, let me check. For some reason, I had a bad premonition. I adjusted the conquest panel. The display read, Conquest. Target Grace Hopper. Conquest progress. 0. An arm was placed on my shoulder. I was imprisoned in a slightly damp embrace. Both the system and I let out a startled cry. As soon as I opened my mouth, I was muffled. The system cried out twice. And seeing no one respond, it looked up at me. System. Silence. I wanted to push Grace away, but she held me in a death grip. Her kiss was more aggressive than any time before, making it impossible for me to make any sound. Even though I turned my face away in refusal, the hot kisses never stopped, falling on the corners of my lips and the bridge of my nose. What's this? Bullying a lonely tube? The system overheated, its entire body glowing a bright red. Grace Hopper turned precisely toward the system, her face full of coldness, tracking the system's flight path perfectly. It couldn't believe it, wobbling left and right. Grace stood guard strictly, not letting it get close. I had no doubt that if a human could touch the system's physical form, my poor tube would be knocked away like a bowling ball. The system was stunned. Aren't you blind? Besides, no one except the host is supposed to be able to see the system. Right? This isn't right. Grace didn't answer. I didn't know if it was because she couldn't hear the system's words, but she withdrew the hand that had tried to attack the system, rested her chin on my shoulder, and tightened her arms, completely merging her body with mine, like a snake that hadn't left its burrow in a long time, coiling tightly around its prey. She repeated, Conquest progress. 0? Oh, darling. You have no way to leave me anymore. It's not right. Being discovered by the conquest target regarding the system and conquest info. I felt like a poor scholar who found out his wife was a skin-walking demon, both terrified and disgusted. But as for how scared I was, perhaps not that much, because the skin-walking demon tearing off her human layer right now was rubbing her face against mine, resting her chin in the crook of my shoulder, trying to disturb me with her hair and breath. I'm ticklish. I tilted my head to push her away so we could talk seriously. Grace. But Grace Hopper at this moment was like a bird startled by the snap of a twig. My act of dodging stimulated her. She lowered her head and bit a small piece of flesh near my carotid artery. Too sharp. Canines almost sank into my skin, making one wonder if she would bite down hard the next second, letting my blood spray everywhere. Don't pay attention to that annoying piece of junk. Okay, I'll take care of it. And then, just the two of us. We will be together perfectly. I will take care of you. Alan Turing is mine. Damn it, you gloomy fake. Seeing me restrained, the system rushed forward to grab Grace. Grace Hopper showed no fear toward the invisible creature, standing perfectly still. I even felt she was a bit excited. Though the doctor had said, "Don't leave me," compared to the panic of possibly losing me, her tone was heavy with possession and determination. Not right. Through 10 years of companionship, in certain matters, I understood Grace Hopper better than she understood herself. I reacted to her abnormality almost immediately. Perhaps Grace Hopper didn't even realize it herself. Normally, when she touches me, she never stays still. Even if it's just holding hands, she would squeeze, touch, and rub, constant small movements. I usually have to wait until I get annoyed and pinch her before she offers an apologetic smile and behaves. But since confronting the system, the hand gripping my right wrist hasn't moved an inch. It seemed like she was driving the system away, but she was also constantly provoking it, enticing it to come closer. Why the wrist? What was on my wrist? I suddenly remembered. Before our wedding night, Grace gave me a slender bracelet, made of a very peculiar material. At the time, I asked a few curious questions. Grace said it was a new material she had personally helped develop in a research lab. And because it held significant meaning for her, she gave it to me. She even mentioned the name of the research institute. Ever since Grace Hopper went blind, I have been her eyes. I read every document to her. I knew every decision she made. Understood every project she invested in. This institute was founded right after she returned to the Stanford family estate, about 5 or 6 years ago. I hadn't agreed to always wear it, but thinking back now, I surprisingly couldn't remember what that institute actually researched. For 10 years, Grace had invested massive sums of dollars into this research center. The moment the system drew close to us, Grace's fingers suddenly applied pressure, seemingly pressing a specific spot on the bracelet. I didn't know what she had done, but instinctively, I tried to pull my wrist away and lunge toward the system, wanting to protect it. This version of Grace Hopper is someone who doesn't act without a certainty. Since she made a move, it meant this bracelet would definitely achieve her goal. If Grace still held a shred of old affection for me, she would show absolutely no mercy toward the system. But my system isn't like the cold-blooded ones in other web novels. Since I arrived in this world, it taught me the rules, provided every convenience, and patiently waited for me to grow. It gave me the chance to choose a second life. It said I could choose to conquer Grace Hopper and stay in this world, or choose to return to my own world after completing the mission. It respected every decision of mine. It was I who single-mindedly wanted to go home. The complicated mess between Grace and me absolutely could not be allowed to harm it. Surprisingly, I broke free easily. Grace had already caught the system. I forcefully snapped the bracelet off and anxiously checked on the system. "You've got a heart, kid, but you brought the poison with you." The system seemed to be malfunctioning. Its light flickered on and off. Muttering weakly, startled, I turned to look at Grace Hopper. She seemed to know I would turn back to look at her. The corners of her lips pulled up into a distorted arc, but her eyes held no smile, only moisture gathering into tears that fell. "You two truly are deeply devoted to each other. But Alan, I understand you just as you think. You understand me." I suddenly realized I had fallen into a trap. The system also let out a long sigh. That jewelry didn't have any long-range attack capabilities. It just carried a specific virus that could latch onto biological surfaces. So, if I hadn't been so worried and rushed over for Grace to inspect, I wouldn't have been infected. Grace Hopper intentionally created a choose one of two situation for me. The system checked me first, found I was the carrier and thus unaffected by the virus, and breathed a sigh of relief. It looked at Grace, who was drenched in tears, and sneered. "You set up the choice yourself, and then you're unhappy when you're not chosen? You fail. And then you sulk? I underestimated you. This old lady is the world's #1 virus killer." The system shook its head and flew over to Grace's side, vomiting a large black mosaic blob at her feet, flickering its light provocatively. Grace ignored it. Her face was deathly pale. All the madness and distortion had retreated from her brow, leaving only emptiness. She asked softly, "Alan Turing, why aren't you saying anything? Why won't you talk to me? Why don't you scold me, or even ask me? Don't you want to know why I know about the system and the conquest progress? Don't you want to know why the progress dropped, even hitting 0? She spoke, and the tears began to flow again. "Because I hate you. I hate you. I hate you." Grace couldn't see, since I didn't speak. She couldn't judge my direction. She turned her head aimlessly, completely breaking down. She screamed agitatedly. "Say something. You know full well I can't see. Say something. Why won't you kill me? Let me die in the happiest moment after having you. I don't want to let go anymore." But you don't want me again. I hate you. Faced with Grace's barrage of questions, I felt only speechless. The skin-walking demon suddenly tore off her mask and went into a frenzy. I was lucky enough not to be scared to death. What could I say? Say, how long have you been talking nonsense? Great acting. Why stop now? This burning passion is truly wonderful. The system finished killing the virus, fully revived, and pulled out more sunflower seeds. It commented on Grace Hopper. A desperate and poisonous kind of love, isn't it? This time, I didn't take its seeds. I walked over to Grace Hopper and crouched down. Calmly, I said, Grace, I actually lied to you. The real rule of this room is that only those who love each other can open it. We cannot open it. Grace's entire body shuddered. Right, the conquest. Progress is at 0, so of course she choked. Unable to finish the sentence. Clearly, for her, admitting that we didn't love each other was unbearable. Even though she had just screamed, I hate you, so many times. You hate me because I didn't choose you? Because I don't love you? Your true affection value for me has never not been full. You love me. I stated each word with absolute certainty, not allowing Grace any room for rebuttal. Grace Hopper's affection level indeed displayed as 0, but we both knew perfectly well that it was because she had used some method to interfere with the conquest panel's data. Grace didn't refute my words, she only gradually revealed an expression of deep sorrow. She knew what I was about to say. I wanted to say that this room isn't like that. This is a blind box. I opened randomly at a moment's notice, even the system's ability to seize partial authority over the rules was only thanks to its recent scuffle with the great god. Regarding whether the people inside love each other or not, this room has its own judgment. Rules, unaffected by the affection levels on the system panel. I wanted to say that if even when Grace Hopper loves me that much, we still cannot exit this room, then certain questions and answers are already clear. But in the end, I didn't say those words, because Grace Hopper seemed unable to bear this harsh punishment anymore. All the strength in her body had been drained away. She sat slumped on the ground in despair. She pleaded, don't say it. Please don't say it anymore. Don't treat me like this. Please don't say you don't love me. She couldn't bring herself to utter that last sentence, only able to look at me sorrowfully, begging for my affection. Really, clearly she is the tiger playing the sheep. The deep scheming villainess, yet she makes me look like a heartless, cold man. Actually, from the moment I arrived in this room, I had lied to Grace Hopper, indulging her frantic clinging to me, precisely because I knew that the inability to leave was my problem. Although Grace's revelation of her true nature surprised me slightly. I had suspected the system had glitches, suspected the data panel judgment was flawed, but I never once doubted Grace Hopper's love for me. Her love was too intense and direct. When she was still the refined woman who hadn't shown any dark side to me, she had signed all her assets over to my name. In her eyes and in her heart, there was only me. She wouldn't strike back when hit, wouldn't talk back when scolded. Obedient to a degree that wasn't like a normal person. Her love was like a snake, like a vine. Unless it was severed and burned completely, it would never give up its entanglement. When loved by someone like that, you don't blindly believe in so-called control panels and data. I lifted Grace Hopper's face. I'm telling you, Grace Hopper, the system can rewind to the past to let this room judge whether we have ever loved each other. Don't you want to know if, in the past 10 years, there was ever a moment where we loved each other? Don't you want to know if there was a moment where I, as Alan Turing, truly loved Grace Hopper with all my heart? And not as a conqueror and a conquest target? Grace Hopper's breathing became increasingly rapid. She seemed on the verge of hyperventilating, but her arms still gripped me tightly, like a drowning person clutching the last straw. She already knew my answer. Oh my God, a dog training master. The system looked at me with eyes full of admiration. It introduced the process. First of all, let me be clear, this isn't to let you two reincarnate. Rewinding space-time requires resetting the entire world's timeline. Doing that just to open a door for you is like killing a chicken with a dragon-slaying sword. After all, besides you two, the lives of everyone else in this world are still lives. The specific rules are a bit complicated. Basically, I have asked the great God to extract information about you two from the world consciousness of this world, recreated in this space. Find the moment you loved each other most, and seize it to disguise it as the present moment for this door too. Judge. The system rambled on for a while about things I didn't understand. I extracted the keywords and translated. So you want to check our surveillance cameras? Here? The system. Genius, you truly are incomparable to me. I was showered with praise by the system. The system and I looked at each other and chuckled. Grace Hopper said nothing, sitting there like a gloomy mushroom. The system glanced at her and gave a cold huff. I'll beam it directly into your brain. Even a blind person can see. The products of the world consciousness are high quality, high definition, fair, and just. The system bragged. I can show you Alan Turing. Gradually growing up over these years, it's been so long, don't forget what he looks like. Grace Hopper, the mushroom person, suddenly looked up, not at the system, trying to purse her lips. She offered a pleasing smile. That virus wasn't lethal, it could only lock you up for a few seconds. The system grew alert. What did you want to lock me up for? Do you have other capture measures prepared? Grace Hopper didn't speak. The meaning was, yes. The system, you poisonous woman. Truly the most wicked little lady. The system aggressively shot a tentacle-like beam of light into Grace Hopper's temple. Then it gently patted my head, beginning connection. Connection successful. Data transmitting. After 2 notification chimes, Grace Hopper and I, from a god-like perspective, saw images from when I first arrived in this world. It was completely holographic. I was so embarrassed my toes curled. In the image, the system and I were discussing the identity I would use in this world. At that time, Grace Hopper hadn't been adopted by the Rockefeller family yet. After her grandmother passed away, she lived alone in the slums of Detroit. The identity the great God arranged for me was Grace Hopper's neighbor. On the logic that water flows to the lowest point, proximity is key. The system and I went to see the place and found that while there might not be water at the low point, the leaking roof was real. The living environment was too terrible. The two of us looked at each other, no longer in the mood to see what the mission target looked like. We fled in the night. The system went to have a boxing match with the great God. Came back in, swapped me for a new identity card, and added some attribute points for me to allocate. Usually, conquerors would choose to put points into beauty, ideally becoming so beautiful the target falls in love at first sight. As for me, horrified by the slums, I didn't care who Grace Hopper was. I dumped everything into wealth. Money come, money come, money come. An identity card with a car, a house in Beverly Hills, no parents, and super freedom was thus created. The system and I were like mice falling into a jar of rice, spending every day hiding at home playing video games until our faces were dark. It wasn't until the conquest never started and the system almost ran out of energy and had to shut down that we suddenly woke up. It seemed we didn't come to this world for a summer vacation. What did we come for again? The system and I, like 2 anxious idiots, searched for information on the conquest target everywhere. The system's memory was all used by us to download game walkthroughs. We couldn't find a single serious mission guide. The 2 of us, in despair, played another round of the game. Back then, being lazy felt truly justified. At this moment, seeing everything in front of Grace Hopper, the person involved, the system and I felt a bit guilty. The system spoke first. This world consciousness is really something. Why keep playing these ugly segments? Indeed, a mistake is a mistake. But how could it be our fault? I stole a glance at Grace Hopper's expression, fearing she would discover that even if I conquered her, I didn't care much, and she would be hurt. To my surprise, Grace Hopper wasn't angry at all. She stared at the image. The person in the picture was not yet 17 years old. It turns out, memories really do fade with time. You back then truly didn't look much like the you in my memories. In that moment, I no longer felt guilty. Specifically, how was I different? Tell me, if you say something bad, you're finished. The system quickly pulled out its sunflower seeds. Grace Hopper smiled faintly. The you in my memory was cold and distant, like a solitary god. It turns out you were so vivid and bright. She reached out, wanting to touch the me in the image, but her hand met only empty air, a hint of regret crossing her face. She sincerely said to the system, "Thank you for letting me see him." The system put the sunflower seeds away. "She's praising you for the days you didn't wash your hair or your face. Staying up so late your skin turned yellow, that's what she calls vivid and bright." I snorted. Grace Hopper fell silent, trying to flatter the system. "You are also very well-rounded." She had no idea that the spherical system used to be a graceful beauty. The system scratched the air in annoyance. I let out a laugh, hiding the anxiety in my heart. I knew that very soon, the images would show my first meeting with Grace Hopper, and the real reason I decided to conquer her. About the eyes Grace Hopper lost. About the eyes Grace Hopper should never have lost. The images indeed quickly shifted to our first meeting. After finding the conquest info, I spent money to transfer schools, entering the top-tier high school Grace was attending. However, my supernatural abilities were limited. I couldn't get into Grace's elite rocket class, and was only in the same grade. Then, I had no idea how to proceed with the conquest. Surely, I couldn't just rush in and ask for homework help without a reason? I asked the system, "Teach me how to flirt with this girl." The system was skeptical. "Does this even require effort? A beckon of your finger should be enough, right?" Too much confidence. I didn't put points into beauty. I slumped down, negotiating with the system. "If energy is low, turn on low power mode. Just let me have 2 hours a day to play games. Consider it a vacation." The system felt I had a point. We lived in low power mode for a month. Suddenly one day, Grace Hopper walked into my classroom holding physics assignments. She walked straight to my desk and said the first words of our lives. "Hi, you haven't done your homework. Mr. Lee told me to find you." Damn it. The physics teacher for both our classes was the same person. Grace was the physics representative for her class. But we weren't in the same class. Why was she the one finding me? Even stranger, a few days later, Grace claimed she was asked by a kind soul to tutor me every day. Before transmigrating, I was a top-performing student who had just finished university entrance exams, but in this world, the school placed me in the science track. The physics, chemistry, and biology I once knew were long forgotten. Naturally, my grades were a disaster. At that time, I didn't want frequent contact with Grace Hopper. Although it sounds a bit pretentious, I didn't actually want to conquer her and toy with her sincere heart. Even in the plot the system showed me, where the future Grace Hopper was cruel and sinful. Right now she was just a good girl who didn't want money, only to help me improve. I refused. My foundation is poor, I don't want to trouble the top student. She immediately brought her 10th grade textbooks and notebooks to teach me from the beginning, without a hint of frustration. The girl appeared modest and somewhat poor. The cuffs of her school uniform were washed until they were faded, but both she and her books were impeccably clean. Her fair fingers pointed at the script, the natural scent of ink mixed with mint and the smell of soap on her body, forming my entire memory of teenage Grace Hopper. But I didn't expect that it was teenage Grace Hopper herself who had walked into the physics office to block my class representative, who was about to find me. She smiled gently. "I happen to be free, let me go find Alan Turing for you." It was also she who told my homeroom teacher I was asked by his family to tutor him. But he isn't very cooperative. I hope you can step in and talk some sense into him. My parents in this world had been dead for years. Who could have asked her? Regarding this, 27-year-old Grace Hopper shamelessly argued. It was a vision from an ancestor. And I, at 27, finally discovered that things like deep schemes and manipulation are innate, not learned. But at 17, I knew nothing of Grace Hopper's true face. I only felt that this girl was nothing like the character in the plot. She was in the prime of her life, gentle, humble, intelligent, and eager to learn. She should have been healthy and free, running toward the brilliant summer of her life, not having her wings clipped before she could even fly, forever losing her connection to the sky. I made an arrogant and bold decision. I wanted to change the turning point of her fate, to help her escape the control of the plot. Oedipus, seeing his destiny, fled Corinth, thinking it was the start of a battle, unaware that once the threads of fate are woven, mortals are powerless. Grace Hopper's turning point happened on an ordinary night. At 9:50 p.m., she finished evening classes and, for some reason, walked down a small alley she usually didn't take. There, she encountered a male classmate being bullied by a gang. 17-year-old Grace Hopper was not yet the ruthless villainess who bullied the weak. Naturally, she stepped in to stop it. But lacking experience, both her legs were broken. During the struggle, seeing things escalate, the gang scattered. Grace was taken to the hospital, only to receive a few updates from the police. First, that stretch of road had no surveillance cameras. Second, the boy she protected suffered a head injury and amnesia. The boy's parents agreed to pay $500 as a nutrition fee, out of humanity and school spirit, but they didn't want to meet her. We don't want the fact that our son was bullied to the point of hospitalization being leaked out. The police relayed the message. We hope you can understand. Grace Hopper, forced to understand, was discharged the very same day. She couldn't afford the expensive medical and surgery costs. For the rest of her life, those disabled legs, left untreated, would forever follow her, dragging her down, forcing her to grit her teeth to climb to the peak of her life. Good seeds bore bitter fruit. A sense of justice that was not at all villainous turned Grace Hopper into a villain. Before I knew Grace Hopper, the system and I thought this was just a mediocre story of a fall from grace. Perhaps even a bit cliché. Because the boy who was protected and lost his memory was the male lead of this world. That night, the night that changed Grace Hopper's life, was just a minor angst point in the plot years later. When the male lead remembers everything, feels guilty toward the villainous Grace Hopper, and has a dispute with the female lead. They argued for a whole day about it. But after getting to know Grace Hopper, seeing the Grace in the original plot holding those $500, whispering to herself, "So this is the hush money. I wish I had parents too." I felt an indescribable heartache. I remembered Grace facing a physics test, where I could barely answer a few questions, saying, "Don't give up. You actually have great talent." Remembering how she suddenly appeared during my final lap of the 800 meters race, saying she loved running. Because in the wind, you don't have to think about anything. Just run forward. The good wind lends its strength to carry me to the clouds. The girl said that, her hair blown back by the wind, revealing a bright forehead, a rare kind of gallantry. So, on that night, I forced Grace Hopper. "Tonight, you must bring me a textbook sold at the bookstore downtown. Otherwise, I won't come to you for tutoring anymore." The bookstore closed at 10:30 p.m. The bus ride took 30 minutes. She had to catch the earliest bus right after school ended, at 9:50 p.m. to make it in time. Before I could even say I was willing to pay 10 times the price, she agreed. Immediately, she whispered, "Alan Turing, you must study very hard." The next sentence was even quieter, because of my nerves. I didn't hear it clearly, only mumbling a few responses. After school, watching Grace go toward the bus stop as planned, I turned around and, with the system's help, went to the small alley where the male lead was trapped. I had called the police in advance and brought plenty of pepper spray. The system used its reserve energy to electrocute the thugs. I rushed in, protecting the male lead behind me, thinking everything was handled. But I didn't expect that Grace Hopper would arrive even earlier than the police. As the chaos broke out, a green glass bottle shattered over Grace's head. Bright red blood flowed down her face. She tried to catch her breath, telling me, "It's okay now." At that time, I didn't realize the severity of the problem. I looked at Grace's intact legs and even managed a smile. "I'm okay, too." Until we were in the hospital room, and Grace asked in a daze, "Why aren't the lights on?" The room was brightly lit. My heart sank into an abyss. I frantically begged the doctors and nurses. After test, eyeballs, no problem. Retina, no problem. Nerves, there might be a problem, but they couldn't pinpoint what it was. I still remember pleading pathetically with the doctor. "Doctor, I have money. I have plenty of dollars. Tell me, can she be cured? If not here, then where? We can transfer hospitals." The doctor only shook his head. Finally, it was Grace who held me back. She said, "It's just my bad luck. Don't waste any more money. I will pay you back." One afternoon, she quietly handled the discharge papers herself. She returned to her home in the slums, standing before the door for a long time with her head bowed. She surrendered to fate, admitting she no longer had a way to walk out of there through effort and study. That day was November 7th. Grace entered winter along with the rest of the world. Looking at the teenage Grace Hopper in the image, sitting on the bed with an expressionless face, I wanted to cry. If I hadn't interfered, she wouldn't have been like this. I don't want to compare suffering, but blindness indeed affected Grace's life more than broken legs. I asked Grace, who had seen the whole truth, "Do you hate me?" Grace Hopper smiled very sweetly. "It turns out that on the day I was discharged, you followed me from a distance, afraid something would happen to me. Is that the main point?" Grace nodded. "Yes, the day I left the hospital, I thought, if you hadn't helped me pay the medical bills, I couldn't even have left. At that time, I felt so useless. I thought, I wish I could make a lot of money, at least before giving up on the guy the first liked. I could be a bit more decent." She walked over to hug me, rubbing her face against mine. "Besides, darling is very good. You knocked on my door and pulled me out. I knew it. You said my cooking was good, told me to keep making it for you forever. The medical bills were just an excuse. I knew it all. Thank you for being willing to save me over and over again." Grace Hopper looked at me, who was stunned, and said sincerely, "The boy I like has always been behind me, protecting me and my pride." That was a kindness that 17-year-old Grace Hopper didn't know she had received. "Thank you for telling me now. I am very happy." She didn't dismissively say, "Losing my eyes was nothing." Through those miserable days, we supported each other to get through. She didn't want to, and couldn't, deny those tears and that collapse. She told me that the sentence she said to me on that night at 17 was, "I hope you study very hard and get into the same university as me." But she didn't say that on that night. She only appeared because she saw through the bus window that I didn't get into my private driver's car, but was walking alone. She was worried, so she rushed off the bus and followed me. She also didn't say that every night before, she would stand at the school gate to watch me get into the car, then time her messages asking me for homework help to confirm I had safely arrived home. This is the tenderness belonging to Grace Hopper. She would fret over many small things, needing me to pity her over every little grievance. Otherwise, she would question if I no longer loved her. When she went wild, she was like parasitic fungi, spraying spores, wanting only to use herself to envelop me. But regarding big things like this, she didn't fret anymore. No words, no mentions. She simply didn't want me to be truly sad. Fortunately, at this moment, I have seen it all. Thank you to the surveillance of the world consciousness for fairly and justly recording every trace of love in the timeline. The system continued to play the monitoring footage forward. Clearly, at that time, We both had not reached the standard of being in love. After Grace Hopper went blind, the system and I were caught by the great God trying to change a major character's path. The system was severely punished, about to fall into a long-term deep sleep. My permissions were also revoked. I could no longer open the conquest panel. The system told me casually, "I'm a regular in the dark room now. Do whatever you want, just treat it like a vacation." I knew it was comforting me. I didn't sink into negative emotions for too long. Things had reached this point. I had to do something. I followed the investigation of the accident that night. As a witness, I proved Grace Hopper's bravery in saving someone. The video the system had secretly recorded helped a great deal. After I promised the male lead's parents they wouldn't have to be responsible for Grace's medical expenses, their direct thanks arrived quickly. I felt a bit cynical. But regardless, Grace Hopper finally received the honor she deserved. I dragged Grace back to school. Using the old trick, I told her, "You're blind, not stupid. You can't miss a single tutoring session with me." I read textbooks and assignments to her, intentionally letting it slip, as if by accident that blind people could also take the SATs. Telling her to learn Braille. "You're so smart, if you can't learn it, it's because you're not studying properly." Grace Hopper hated being looked down upon by me most of all. By the time she finished learning Braille, I hadn't even reached her normal progress level. This time, it was Grace's turn to tell me, "You're so smart, if you can't learn it, it's because you're not studying properly." She had completely come back to life. Her eyes had no focus, but they were full of laughter. And so, we studied and struggled together until the college entrance exams. Grace Hopper, as in the plot, got into Harvard University. I finally breathed a sigh of relief. It's worth mentioning that I also got into the same university as her. A pity no one knew I was a student who had already graduated. Before transmigrating, studying for 2 more years, reselecting the natural sciences, and reaching the peak of my life. What an inspirational story. Reporters all went to interview Grace Hopper. Various education departments awarded her many dollars in prizes. Grace put all the prize money into one bank account. When opening the account, I went with her. She said she couldn't see, asking me to help set the password. In the end, somehow, the card became mine. She said it was to repay the medical debt. I said it wasn't necessary. The young Grace Hopper then said to me expressionlessly, "You don't want my medical money? Then I'll just die and give you my life back." I had to say, "Fine." So she laughed. She said, "I will make a lot of dollars for you. Just you wait for me." Later, Grace Hopper was reclaimed by the Rockefeller family. And she indeed made many, many dollars, more than I could ever imagine. I once joked that I was her eyes, so half of her success belonged to me. Grace Hopper said, "You are my life." I said, "You're so cheesy." The cheesy Grace Hopper gradually transferred all assets under her name to mine. She changed her words, "You are my entire net worth." Well, even cheesier, but I was touched to death. The year Grace Hopper took full control of the Rockefeller empire, she confessed to me. She finally felt she had the right to confess to me. That day, the system was finally released from the dark room because the conquest progress skyrocketed. It said, "Holy cow, what did you do? The target's affection level is overflowing." I said, "I didn't do anything. I just, as Alan Turing, stayed by Grace Hopper's side all these years." I said, "System, I really like her. Can we not end the mission just because the affection level is full? Even if the story must end, please give me more time for us to love each other. Okay?" Outside the system space, I said to Grace's confession, "Okay." Inside the system space, the system said to my request, "Okay." Many years later, at this moment, the room that only opens when people are in love finally made the sound of a lock turning. While Grace Hopper was in a daze, I said, "Grace, the conquest mission and the system are real. But my love for you is also real. The moment we promised to be life partners, It also came from the bottom of my heart, just like yours." Grace Hopper burst into tears. Before she could get so happy that she fainted, the system quickly broke out of the sweet atmosphere. "Grace Hopper, now can you explain why after getting together with my boy, you secretly installed so many surveillance cameras?" The system was furious. "God damn it, why does a high-tech system like me keep tripping twice over? Surveillance cameras? The first time was at the hospital. The host was punished for not conquering properly and was turned into the target's puppy. As a result, the target discovered through the cameras that her puppy was online writing research papers, her worldview collapsed and she fell into a major crisis. I instinctively wanted to defend Grace Hopper. The system, acting all sarcastic, repeated the words I once said, "Grace Hopper isn't some manipulative villainess, she is very good." I went silent and betrayed her immediately. "Exactly, what's this about? Why were you secretly setting up a special system research project at the Institute? Huh? Resisting will be punished, but even confessing will be punished." Grace Hopper, having discovered she was loved, was like a watered flower, sweet and fresh. She said honestly, "After I confessed to you, occasionally, you would suddenly space out. I discovered you started secretly playing games with someone else. I checked the account you duoed with. That account first played with you back in high school, proving they had known you for a very long time. But you never mentioned this anonymous friend. And I couldn't track down the real identity info of that account." Grace was a bit embarrassed. "Actually, at first I didn't think it was a system, I just thought some thick-skinned person was seducing you, so I looked into it a bit." I was amazed. "You can even do that?" Grace said obediently, "Yes, because I'm always watching you, Alan. You're very easy to read." The Rockefeller family already had massive capital in high tech. Plus Grace Hopper's reckless spending, in just 5 or 6 short years, she actually went from discovering the system to interfering with the system, then to inventing a capture device. After the capture plan was set, Grace put the bracelet on my wrist, and the capture device was placed in the wedding suite. Maybe it was a blind spot under the lamp. The system and I didn't notice it at all. If we hadn't been unlucky enough on the wedding night to enter this room, the system and I might have actually drowned in a shallow ditch. The system was furious. "You call that a bit?" Grace Hopper calmly asked back. "I only asked for the research of a capture device, not a destruction device, didn't I? I knew you and my darling had a very good relationship. If it wasn't necessary, I didn't want things to go to an irreparable point. The system, you poisonous woman, she's bragging about her love again." It collapsed for a second, then quickly thought, "Oh, so you discovered that when you entered this strange room, the device had vanished. And you had to use the bracelet on the boy's wrist to attack me because you had no other choice?" Grace Hopper said nothing more. The system sneered. "Risk tolerance is a bit low, isn't it?" The poisonous lady disregarded everything to show her true face. Because she knew she couldn't stop Alan Turing, so she just gave up, right? Grace Hopper admitted to her collapse. She said, "The very night we entered, I already knew the rules of this room. Because when you tried to open the door, I also felt the rules. On the surface, they were displayed in Braille. The door wouldn't open." Grace went mad. Luckily, I had lied. She accepted the mistake. For 3 days, she was intoxicated as if dead, truly wanting to die in bed with me rather than face the unacceptable truth. No wonder she went crazy and sought death. I fell silent. The products your system sells, aren't they a bit too humanized? Is this the time for them to be getting in the way? The system also fell silent. I will provide feedback for reverse improvements later. Grace Hopper asked me, "Why is it that you once loved me, but now you don't anymore?" After rewatching our 10 years together and knowing she had been 100% loved, Grace finally found the courage to question me. I felt a bit comforted. Grace said, "Is it because you saw the affection level drop and thought I didn't love you, so you stopped loving me too?" It's not that. I was just afraid that once the data bar was full, you would leave. I love you so much. I love you most. I only love you. It has always been that way. Or is it some other aspect of me that makes you unhappy? I can change. She spoke and looked ready to cry again. Alright, she wasn't that brave after all. Love makes people insecure, it makes them afraid. I gently rubbed Grace's eyes. No, it wasn't because the affection level dropped that I doubted your love. It's just that every time a notification of a drop appeared, it reminded me that this was a conquest mission. It made me remember that I was the reason you went blind. Grace Hopper slowly broke into a smile. She said hurriedly, "It's okay, I don't mind. Even if it was for a mission that you first liked me. I don't mind my eyes, regardless of the reason. Being able to have you by my side makes me very happy." I continued. It also reminded me that I absolutely had to complete the mission to receive points through the settlement. Many hesitations and many worries made my love restrained. That sensitive door, indeed, it wouldn't open. But now that the mission is complete, you have to leave this world. Grace Hopper's face turned pale. She stood up like a ghost, tears streaming down. I've begged you for so long, but you still have to leave. I don't know what to do to keep you here. I will kneel and beg you. I don't even need the last bit of my dignity. Begging is useless anyway. I snatched the knife she was holding against her own neck. Then let me commit suicide, that would have more spirit. Grace didn't let go. I'd rather die. I snapped. Before you seek death, did it ever occur to you to ask me why I needed those points? Grace Hopper's eyes were essentially murdered by the forced plot. The Great God's Mall has a special item that can restore them. But it is very, very expensive. So I had always been stingy with my points. I wanted to accumulate enough to return the light to Grace. Grace bit her lip, showing no sign of joy. Didn't you say you were my eyes? I don't need anything else, I only need you. The system finally couldn't listen anymore. Are you children? Always choosing one of two in self-destructing. Psycho. Turn off that trashy interference device on your body. And let Alan Turing complete the mission. He's going back to his old world for some business. Once he's done, he'll come back for you. Grace Hopper showed hesitation. She said pitifully, "Don't lie to me." I said, "I'm not lying to you." In the big decisions I made, Grace Hopper was the most obedient. Grace made a snapping sound, breaking something on her person. The interference device is here. The system and I were stunned instantly. The conquest progress indeed gradually returned to normal, reaching full capacity. Point settlement successful. I exchanged them for the special item. Before walking out of this room with Grace Hopper, I told her, "Get used to the light first. By the day you can see, I will be back. At that time, let's get to know each other all over again. Love again from the start, so that everything is unrelated to conquests, okay?" She said, "Okay, you must remember to come back." After returning to my old world, I received my college acceptance letter. The system helped me sell my old house to gather some money so I could bury my parents' ashes together. The me in this world was just like Grace Hopper in the past, lonely and poor. Even if I disappeared, no one would remember. I understood her, just as I understood myself. I knew she craved respect, craved love, craved a future. Because I did too. I burned the acceptance letter before my parents' grave, along with a photo of Grace and me that the system had secretly given me. I talked a lot, wanting to tell my parents everything about the new world. Once the green smoke vanished, I finally said to the system, "All right, take me back." The system said, "Okay, when you go back, I won't be able to stay with you anymore." I said, "Do you still have missions?" It said, "No, my mission is also complete. I have to go visit my subsystems. They're about to start school." It was trying to make me laugh. So I played along and laughed. In the final moment of the space-time transfer, before the system said goodbye, I quickly pulled out a small pink peach blossom pendant and tucked it into its lap. My system's name is Peach. And she used to be a girl who loved beauty. Actually, I saved up a few points for you and exchanged them for something good. I winked. Peach, study math well in the future, don't let hosts like us trick you out of all your points. Goodbye, I'm lucky to have met you. Peach also gave a small smile, thank you. Behind was the old world, ahead was a new future. I dropped into a familiar room. Don't misunderstand, it was the wedding suite I shared with Grace Hopper. She sat there waiting for me. Her eyes were bright and clear. Wait, why is it so dark in the room? Grace Hopper, who had waited for me for who knows how long, smiled in a way that was a bit chilling. Welcome back, dear husband. Let's get to know each other all over again. My name is Grace Hopper, and I am a villainess. And the way we villains love and confirm a sense of security usually starts with romance in a dark room.